Titus, good to see you again, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Good to see you, man. What's happening?
It's your third time on the show. I feel like I have to get you one of these now, right?
Well, please, man, I'll make sure that you get my mailing address because I'm a fan. And
It's
you've been
always good to
the,
see you, man. It's always an honor and privilege to speak with you. You've done this a lot with Legacy, but also Bosch, like the original series. Is it always the same feeling of like working on it, wrapping it, playing the waiting game, and then it was kind of like it was in your hands and now it's out of your hands in the world town when it's out? Like, has it always felt the same way, like when a new season of Bosch releases?
you know what? I think there is a level of sameness to it, for lack of a better term. But each season, our writers worked very hard to raise the bar for themselves. They never rested on their laurels, and so I think in that regard, each season was very, very different, but the same amount of energy and passion went into making the show. I mean, without question, the best working experience of my career.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I find it really interesting. And I feel like I think about this now because I'm also a filmmaker as well. So I'm kind of like, I watch things so differently now after making films. I want to look back at like films that I watch in my teens, right? Like
Right.
maybe if I was making films back then, I'd think about them in a different way, right? Or like them or something like that. So there's a lot of kind of like action scenes and big scenes in seasons of Bosch Legacy
Yeah.
that like sometimes one or two scenes might take like, a long time to film, right? Like 2 weeks
Hmm.
or anything, like one specific scene. Does that sometimes feel like filming like a little mini movie, or does it feel like it's all part of like Bosch Legacy? Because I always found that interesting, right?
Well, the whole process of making the show, because I've worked, television has been a cornerstone in my career. So I've had the great privilege to work on some really, iconic shows like Deadwood and Lost, Sons of Anarchy. Um, but the process of shooting Bosch was a conscious effort. We were not restricted with the same limitations that I think Hondel's, not Hondel's, but Hobbles rather,
Yeah.
uh, the the creators. Our show is shot like a film, so the
Yeah.
process of making it was exactly like making a 50-minute movie.
Yes.
Um, we would work at the pace of television. You shoot, look on a feature film, you shoot maybe 3 or 4 pages sometimes.
Mhm.
We shoot 8 to 10, sometimes 12 pages of dialogue in a day and have two company moves. So the scope of it. But when you look at it, Patrick Cady was our cinematographer. Now he's come through and he has been directing episodes of the show
Yeah.
for a long time. But he along with the producers and the creators, he created that template, that look of the show.
Yeah.
And obviously there is a lot of I'm a cinephile, as are you.
Yeah.
So there are definitely things that are homage. And if you are a cinephile, you can go like, oh my God, it's look at Bosch standing alone in the LA River, point blank,
Yeah.
and we loved doing those sort of homages and Easter eggs.
One of the things that's one of my favorite things about Bosch and Bosch Legacy, and I think this is a credit to your incredible acting, Titus, is the tension-driven dialogue. I love the conversations that Bosch has with certain people where you're just kind of like, why did this person say that? Or like, what does this mean type thing? And you're really kind of seeing it. From a script to screen journey, specifically, what's it like reading those tension-driven scenes in the scripts and then seeing them kind of come to life on screen, so to speak? I'm curious about that.
Well, for the most part, there would be rewriting here and there, and I would do that sometimes myself. Um, but that also it's the relationship that I have with Michael Connelly, Eric Overmeyer, and Thomas Bernardo, where we would find things on the day that weren't necessarily on the page. You find sometimes nuance, and I always, in the way that I work, obviously you need to be letter perfect with the dialogue, and the intent. But we would find nuance and grace notes on the day
Yep.
that might not be on the page, and that stuff was incredibly exciting.
Hmm.
And that has to do with the nature of having which can be is somewhat anomalous, right? Where you have that kind of a relationship where it's a true collaboration, where everyone's firing on the cylinders and nobody's right, nobody's wrong, and there is an openness to try things. Now, that being said, any ideas or things that I would come up with personally, I, would always have those conversations with the writers. And of course, Michael Connelly, having the luxury of having him there, he's the barometer, and the checklist for all things Bosch, and that's enormous gift to have had that. And Michael and I wrote scripts together. We wrote episodes of the show together.
I always find the, ping pong match of taking original source material like a book and then making it into a series or a movie always so fascinating to me. And I feel like you can have podcast series about it because there's this push and pull of like, you know, oh, we want to do the book justice, but it's also like it's a TV show, right? Like it's
Right.
not the book. And I always found that was fascinating. And I remember talking to Michael Connelly about that. It was very interesting. But my last question before we wrap up as well is I know the answer to this, Titus, is you try not to. Because as an actor, you want to be in the moment and like you're just kind of focusing on the task at hand of like playing Bosch, you know what I mean? But are you ever conscious of the audience member watching Bosch Legacy while you're making it? And if the answer to that is no, when do you start really thinking about the audience? Is it before filming? Is it after filming? Like, I'm just curious about that because the audience, that's the one goal is that you're making this for the audience, if you think about it.
Well, a lot of that happens when you complete a scene,
Yeah.
particularly if it's a scene that has real weight to it.
Mhm.
I can't tell you how many times we would finish shooting a scene and I would turn to Tom Bernardo and go, "Whoop, man, that's gonna get him."
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you sort of, because yes, we are in the business of entertaining, but we are also in the business of making what I call sit forward television,
Yeah.
right? Our show is not for the post-literate society. You cannot be on your phone, you know, scrolling and doing whatever, and watching the show
Yeah.
because it requires, you have to have kind of a refined taste,
Mhm.
because it's not your sort of standard procedural cop show. It's
Yeah.
it's really more, the framework is a detective, but it's really about the human condition more than anything. And I think
Yep.
that's why it's so, in the same way that Michael's books are so relatable to audiences. But yes, we be very, very conscious of it. And that's not to say like, "Ooh, we better throw this in because
Yep.
the audience would want this."
Yep.
Um, but we always sort of felt a sense of gratitude and accomplishment when a scene that was really well written and realized, and then we would shoot it and many times sort of surpass our own expectations, and that would make us very happy for it to go out into the world for the audience to experience it
Well,
as
your
well.
answer to the question was like like the origin of me coming up and like being interested in that question because I feel like that would happen, right? Like there might be like a barn burner scene where it's like, oh, this is gonna get people, and then but like sometimes people just rap maybe and they're just like they it's emotional for them and maybe they're not thinking about it, right? And they just go do their thing. But like perfect answer. Bosch Legacy on Prime Video. Titus, as always, an honor and privilege to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time.
So great to see you. You better send me that mug, dude. That's all I'm going to
Absolutely.
say.
I will figure it out. I will
All
get that over to you. Thank you
right.
so much, man. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.